الله. الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعين به ونسترشده ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى من تبعهم وعمل بعملهم واستنى بسنتهم إلى يوم الدين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. أما بعد. All praise and thanks and gratitude be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our Prophet and Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We seek refuge in Allah from the evils of our own selves and from the wrongs of our deeds. Whoever is guided by Allah will never go astray, and whoever goes astray can only be guided by Allah. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, alone, without partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is Allah's messenger, prophet and servant. I remind myself and I remind you to follow the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to apply them to your daily lives. My dear brothers and sisters, as Muslims, we have a lot of problems. I don't think you need me to stand here and tell you that. But I really don't want to focus on our problems, because we also have a lot of good. But even what we have good can be better if we follow the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if we follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I will submit to you that the most valuable thing that we as Muslims have today, aside from our faith, is our family. The Muslim family is the only thing truly left. We don't have Muslim nations anymore. We don't have Islamic laws being followed anywhere. We have very little. We have illusionary strength. We don't have any real strength. We can't even make our own decisions. We have to rely on non-Muslims to do that for the most part. We really have lost most everything. But what we still have is the Muslim family. And that Muslim family, alhamdulillah, is still in good shape. Yes, there are problems, but there are problems that can be fixed. There are problems that we can still salvage. And the good that's there can be made better. We can be even better. We can aspire to improve. Remember that none of us are perfect. All of us can get better. We just have to commit to it, and we have to work hard to do it, and we have to understand what it is that we want to become. So if you think you can be better, where do you want to go? What do you want to be like? What do you want your family life to be like? What do you want your home to be like? And that is a critical issue, because one of the problems we have is that our homes are not functioning properly or the best way that they could. And when we want to learn something as Muslims, we don't initially go to all the different books that are out there. We ultimately go to the Quran, and we go to the Sunnah. We look at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and we ask ourselves, how did he conduct his life? And from his conduct, we get the principles by which we should live our life. So it's really a simple matter, but it requires a certain focus. We have to understand where to look, and what to look for, and what principles to glean from the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and how to apply them to our own life. After that introduction, what I want to talk about today is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his wife Aisha radiallahu anha. And I want to focus on him. He had many wives, not just Aisha radiallahu anha. But we have a lot of information about how he and al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha lived and how they conducted their home life. We have so much that we can learn from. And that's why I chose to focus today on him and Aisha radiallahu anha. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sitting one time, and next to him was Amr ibn al-As. Amr ibn al-As, just so you know, before he accepted Islam, was very prominent in Mecca. He was from a prominent family, he was wealthy, but he also had political stature, and he was considered to have a lot of wisdom. People looked to him to ask him for advice, to help solve their problems, and he was very politically savvy as well. He knew how to mediate and how to negotiate, and how he was a good businessman. So he had a lot of good qualities and good characteristics. And he had a lot of charisma. People respected him and looked up to him. So after he accepted Islam, these qualities continued. He continued to foster these great qualities as a Muslim. And everyone loved him as well. He was a wonderful Sahabi. A lot of the Sahaba loved Amr ibn al-As. And Rasulullah loved him as well. And one day he was sitting next to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he asked him a question. He said, Ya Rasulullah, man ahabbu an-nasi ilayk? Of all the people in the world, who do you love the most? Good question. He said, Rasulullah looked at him and said, Aisha. Simple like that. His wife, Aisha radiallahu anha. I mean, you have to understand, you know, in the Arab mentality, you don't talk about your wife. That's very unusual that he would mention his wife as the first person who came to his mind as the person he loves the most. Even Amr ibn al-As himself, he was surprised by that answer. Why would he say Aisha? I mean, of all the people, all the great Sahaba. He said, no, I mean from amongst the men. You see that how it's an Arab mentality? You're talking about your wife. I mean, that's private. I don't want to know about your love for your wife. But Rasulullah spontaneously said, Aisha. He said, who do you love the most? He said, Aisha. Alhamdulillah said, no, I mean amongst the men, who do you love the most? He said, Abuha, her father. Her father, of course, is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu anhu. Of course, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq would be loved the most. He's the first believer. He's the best companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He supported him in every way possible. He said, okay, thumma man, who after him? He said, Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu. Of course, Umar ibn Khattab, one of the great believers, a strong believer who helped Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So all that was natural. He said, thumma man, who's the third person? He said, Abu Ubaidah. Abu Ubaidah was one of the great Sahaba. He was the most trustworthy of this ummah. He said, Abu Ubaidah. Amr al-As then, he narrates the story. He said, I stopped asking and I assumed I was the fourth one. He didn't want to be surprised by a fourth and a fifth doesn't include him. So he said, I just stopped asking and I assumed I'm the fourth one. SubhanAllah. But the point of telling you the story, it's a little funny story, but the point is that the first person who came to his mind was his wife Aisha radiallahu anha. Aisha radiallahu anha. You see, he's not two-faced. He's not one person at home and a different person in the masjid, and a different person at work, and a different person in the market. No, he's one person. He's the same person. The Muslim is one person. We don't have two faces in Islam. That's called nifaq. We don't have it. He loves Aisha. He loves his wife. So he asked him, who do you love the most? I love Aisha. I love her the most. Simple, honest, and straightforward answer, and a revelation of what's in his heart. That's the key point of the story. Now Aisha radiallahu anha, let's see what she says about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because someone asked her, someone came to Mu'minin Aisha radiallahu anha, and they said, ماذا كان يصنع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في بيته? What did Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم do in his house? How did he act in his own home? You see, why do people ask this question? Because a lot of people know that people act inside the house differently than they act outside the house. Even back then, they knew that. They knew that people, when they're outside with strangers, they act differently. Or with friends, they act differently. They're a little bit more reserved. Maybe they watch what they say. Maybe they control their anger a little bit more. Maybe they're a little more refined. But in their house, they let their guard down. They act maybe a little bit differently. That's human nature. That happens a lot. That's very common. So they wanted to learn how Rasulullah ﷺ acted inside his house. So they asked Mu'minin Aisha radiallahu anha, how was Rasulullah ﷺ in the house? How did he act in his home? And I'm going to read to you her answer. I'll read it in Arabic, and then I'll read the English translation. It's a beautiful answer. It is so amazing to read it, that when I read it, I feel ashamed of myself. I'm being honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you things and act like I'm the best person. No, I'm not. I'm one of you. When I read it, I myself feel ashamed. I feel I have a long ways to go. But listen to what she said. She said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألين الناس وأكرم الناس. كان رجلا من رجالكم إلا أنه كان ضحاكا بساما. كان يكون في مهنة أهله يخصف نعله ويرقع ثوبه ويخدم نفسه فإذا حضرت الصلاة خرج إلى الصلاة. She said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and this is the first description, the first thing she chose to describe Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the first thing that came to her mind, she said he was al-yannas, the most gentle of people. Subhanallah. He was the most gentle of people, the kindest of people. She didn't say he was kind. She didn't say he was gentle. She said he was the gentlest of all people. Al-Yana Nas. So the gentlest amongst everybody. So that's how she saw him. He may not have been. Well, he is because the Quran says he is. That's a different story. But that's how she saw him. That's how he treated her. His treatment to her reflected in her seeing him as the most gentle person in the world. And he was the most generous person. By the way, Rasulullah ﷺ did not have a lot of money. He was not a millionaire, he was not wealthy, he didn't have land and homes, and he was not. In fact, sometimes 2-3 days there was no food in his house. Yet, the second description that she gave was that he was the most generous. You know, generosity is not just money. Sometimes we think, when we hear the word generous, we think money. No, money is only one aspect. But people also have to be generous with their time. They have to be generous with their love and their compassion and their mercy. That's not easy. That's the harder kind of generosity. We have people in homes today who are present but absent at the same time. They're physically there, but their mind is somewhere else. Or with the TV, or with the internet, or with the phone. I've seen it. I visit people in their home. Nobody talks. It's all like this. Click, I don't know what they're looking at. It's the same news from the morning to the evening. It doesn't change rarely. But yet they keep looking at it. And the emails, I don't know how many emails does a person get? I mean, it's unbelievable. People who spend an hour looking at their phone. And their wife is sitting across them. They don't talk to her. And she might do the same. She'll look at her phone for an hour and not talk. How can this be? We've lost our ability to be generous with our time. And by the way, time is not just the amount, it's the quality of the time. It's not a matter of just sitting there for 3 hours and doing nothing. that's a waste of time. If you sit sometimes just 5 minutes and pay attention and have a conversation and display your compassion, that's quality time. That's being generous with your time. SubhanAllah. She goes on to say, and he was a man like all men. Why is she saying that? That to me really struck me. It didn't fit. So he's the most gentle and he's the most generous. But then she's reminding us that yes, I'm saying he's the most gentle and he's the most generous, but remember, he's a man just like you. He's not an angel. Which means she's telling us you can be the same. You can do it too. He's a man like the rest of you. That's what she's saying. Except, so he's a man like the rest of us, except there's one exception. You might think, what is the exception? In Arabic she said, illa. There's an exception, except. So he must have some superpower that we all don't have. But that's not what she said. She said, except he always was smiling. Always. Not smiles sometimes. In Arabic, ضحاكا بساما. Those grammatical formulations of the word ضحاكا بسام means it's continuous. It's ongoing. Not one time, not two times, always. He's always smiling. That's the difference. She noticed that other men don't smile. That's why she made the exception. She said he's a man just like the rest of you, except that he smiles all the time. SubhanAllah. That means we don't. That's what she's trying to tell us. SubhanAllah. And then she goes on to say, and he participated in the chores of the house. Now I know you brothers don't want to hear that. I know you're thinking, just skip over this part. Okay, I'm not going to skip over it. Okay, because this is the hadith. I can't lie to you. I have to tell you what's written in the record. That's what she said. He used to participate in the chores of the house. Not dumping everything on the wife. No, he actually did some things. And she actually specified what he did. She goes on to say he would repair his shoe. And if he had a hole in his clothes, he would fix it. And he would serve himself. Not every little thing, get me a cup of water, make me a cup of tea. I mean, get up and do your own thing. You keep asking your wife to do things for you. I mean, Rasulullah ﷺ used to take care of his own items. He would get up and do his own thing. يَخْدِمُ نَفْسَهُ. He would serve himself. All of you are unhappy, I can see it. But this is not, remember, I just tell you what's written. I don't make it up. But then she goes on to remind us of a very important thing. And when the time for prayer came, he left to go pray. Meaning he was a pious man. He was a man who in his house was kind and gentle and smiling and working. But when it came time to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing would interfere with that. He would stop everything and he would leave. And I submit to you that that's what makes him a great husband. That's what she's telling us. That his seriousness about salah is what makes him the way he is. Because salah cools you down. It calms you down. It humbles you. It connects you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Beautiful words from al-Mu'mineen, Aisha radiyallahu anha. I just told you what he thinks of her and what she thinks of him. How can it not work? How can it not be successful? How could it possibly not be the best household ever? It is. And that's what we have to strive for. Now, mind you, all of this love and compassion, remember, any two people, you put them in a room for more than half an hour, they're going to disagree on something. That's life. We're human beings. We all have our own opinions and ideas, not always the same. Sometimes we disagree. And sometimes the disagreement is real and genuine. And sometimes there's no right or wrong. Sometimes both people are right. But they disagree about how to handle a certain issue or an opinion about a certain matter. And one time Rasulullah ﷺ and al-Mu'mineen Aisha, they had a dispute. They didn't agree on something. And the dispute became a little bit, it didn't turn into a fight, but almost. She was raising her voice, Rasulullah ﷺ was raising his voice, and there was an argument between them. While this was happening, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who remember is the father of Aisha radiallahu anha, he was walking outside the house of Rasulullah. And he heard the voice of Aisha being raised in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How could this be? How could his daughter treat Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that way? He couldn't take it. So he knocked on the door. They opened the door for him, and he came in, and his face was red, and he wanted to attack Aisha and yell at her and scream. And how could she possibly talk to Rasulullah ﷺ like that? So Rasulullah ﷺ, he had Aisha hide behind him. He was protecting her from her own father, and he was calming Abu Bakr as-Siddiq down. He was saying, just calm down, it's okay. I want you to envision the situation. Rasulullah ﷺ, he was just having a fight, and now he's protecting his wife Aisha and saying, hide behind me. And he's calming down his best friend and companion Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq then calmed down and he left. He couldn't take being there anymore. He just didn't know what to do with his daughter, so he left. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam looked at Aisha after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq left, and he said, Ya Aisha, did you see how I protected you from him? And they started both laughing. SubhanAllah. They forgot their argument and then fight. Yeah, they fight, they argue, but it's not in the heart, just in the tongue. Sometimes now we have people who fight for 10 years. They forget what they fought about 10 years ago, but the argument still goes on. He just made a little joke, see how I protected you from the man? And they both started laughing. When they started laughing, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who was just outside the door, he heard them laugh. So he knocked again. And they said, oh my God, now he's even more upset. So they opened the door for him. And he relaxed all of a sudden. Now they were laughing, so he was happy. But they were both stunned. They kind of looked at him and didn't say anything. They thought he was upset. And he looked at them and said, wait a second, you have to include me in your celebration the same way you included me in your fight. You have to include me in your celebration and your laughing the same way you included me in your fight. He wanted to know what they were laughing about. Now, of course, they cannot tell him because Rasulullah was joking that I protected you from your father, he was going to hit you. But just, the reason I'm telling you the story is the nature of the love between them, the relationship between them. They were human beings. Yes, they fought. Yes, they disagreed. But it didn't last. They didn't hold grudges for days and months. This only lasted 5 minutes. And then they were laughing again. And they were fine. Each one of them, they forgot. They just gave up the whole discussion. They didn't care. This life isn't worth it. We argue about things in this life. I rarely ever hear that two spouses are arguing about some great concept in deen. That never happens. They're usually arguing about something in this world that's meaningless, that's worthless. But they spend hours doing it, days. SubhanAllah. al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha narrates to us a beautiful story. Many of you know that if we don't have water available to us and we want to do tahara so we can pray, we have to do tayammum. We use dust or sand to wash our hands and our face. So this is in case you don't have water, you use tayammum so that you can pray. And the ayah of tayammum, all of us know, فَإِن لَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمُّمُ. If you cannot find water, then you do tayammum. But many of us don't know what was the occasion in which that ayah was revealed. So I'm going to share with you the story behind the ayah of tayammum. Why was it revealed? And it has to do with al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The story is that al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they were traveling with a group of believers, of the companions. Big group of people. And they were traveling in the desert. And they reached a spot where they wanted to rest. So they were traveling for a while, so they stopped to rest. And the idea was to rest for 5-10 minutes and then continue on until they reach a place where there's water. Because in the middle of the desert, there's no water. It's just sand. But they had to rest a little bit. Well, while they were resting, al-Mu'mineen Aisha, radiallahu anha, she had a necklace. And the necklace fell and she lost it. She lost the necklace. So she came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and she said, I lost my necklace, can you help me find it? So she and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam together began searching for the necklace, but they couldn't find it. And it took a long time. So long that the time for prayer was approaching. The time for prayer was coming. And the believers, the Sahaba, the companions, started to get a little bit anxious because they didn't have enough water. They had very little water left. How are they going to do wudu? They have to do wudu before they can pray. And there's no time. And to get to the next area where there is a well, where they can find water, they have to travel some distance. And they're worried that they would miss the prayer because they cannot do wudu. Meanwhile, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is helping al-Mu'mineen Aisha find her necklace. And they spent a lot of time, to the point that they were both very tired from looking for the necklace. Remember, it's a desert, it's hot. They felt tired, so they sat down, both of them, for a little while. And al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha describes how they sat down. She said, I sat, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam leaned his head on my thigh. So he wanted to rest. He didn't have pillows, so he rested his head on her thigh. SubhanAllah. I just want you to imagine. Now this is happening, and the Sahaba are getting really anxious. There's no water. Time for Salah is approaching. They need to make wudu and get ready, and there is no water. So they decided to talk to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, because he is Aisha's father. So they went to him and said, can you talk to your daughter and tell her, forget about the necklace. We have to do the prayer. We need to go to the water. And if we don't find water, we're not going to be able to do the prayer on time. Can you go talk to your daughter and tell her to forget about the necklace and to stop taking the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? They felt that she was taking Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam for such a long time to help her find this necklace. Can you talk to her to stop distracting Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from the journey? So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he went and he approached Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and al-Mu'mineen Aisha, and when he approached them, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sat up and he began to tell Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about the concerns of the believers, that they wanted to make wudu so they can catch the prayer time, and it was already too late, and you know, you've been searching for this necklace, and I think we should just go and forget about the necklace. While he is talking to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Jibreel alayhi salam descends and reveals Quran, and he said, Ayat al-Tayammum. If you don't find water, then you can use tayammum. And he solved the problem. SubhanAllah. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was so happy that this Quran was revealed. And he went to the rest of the companions and he told them. And they said to him, this is the barakah of your household. This is the barakah of the house of Abu Bakr. Because his daughter Aisha is the one who delayed everything. This is your barakah, that Allah has mercy upon us. And he let us do tayammum when we don't have water. al-Mu'mineen Aisha said, and after we prayed, when the camel stood up, we saw the necklace underneath the camel. SubhanAllah. They found the necklace. See the beauty of the relationship. SubhanAllah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. لله ولي الصالحين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I actually have a lot more to say, but we don't have time, so I'm going to cut it short, inshallah. Al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha tells us of a story that happened to her and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I want to share it with you. It's a short story. She said that one night Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I went to sleep. So they decided to go to sleep. It was late in the evening, and we were on the floor lying down on the bed. They didn't have a bed, they just had like a mattress type thing, and we were on it. And shortly after that, Rasulullah ﷺ got up and put on his street clothes and left the house. And she said, and he thought I was asleep, but she really wasn't asleep. But Rasulullah ﷺ thought that she was asleep. She said, so I became curious. I mean, just think of it. Her husband in the middle of the night is getting up and leaving the house. I mean, where's he going? That is kind of curious. So she became curious. She said, so I waited for him to leave the house. And then I got up and I put on my clothes and I followed him. Imagine, she's following her husband, checking on him. Little spying going on. Imagine if that happened to one of us today. Oh my God, we'd be upset. How dare you? You don't trust me? You're following me? Oh, this would be a 10-year altercation. But that's what she did. She followed him secretly without him knowing. She said, I followed him and he went to the cemetery, to Al-Baqiyah, where they have all the Sahaba buried there. She said, he went to the cemetery. And he stood in the cemetery and he raised his hands. And I couldn't hear what he was saying. Then he turned around and headed back home. So in order for him not to see me, I began to run. So she was running back home, trying to get home before he arrived, so he wouldn't know that she followed him. And I got home before he did. And I changed my clothes and I got in bed. And I acted like I was asleep. You follow the story? Now Rasulullah ﷺ arrives home. Everything looks good, right? She's still there sleeping. He did his thing. And he comes back home. And there she is. But he noticed that her breathing was heavy because she just ran to try to get there before. So he said, Ya Aisha, he called her name. Ya Aisha. Hashiyan Rabia means, why are you breathing quickly? What's wrong? She said, nothing. Nothing. It's fine. Now, he did something none of us can do. He said, you either tell me what's wrong or Allah will tell me. We don't have that power. But he does. He said, you either tell me what the problem is, why are you breathing like this, or I'll ask Allah and he'll tell me. Now, of course, she got really scared. Okay, I mean, he's serious. Allah could tell him. I mean, Allah could reveal Quran and, he would know the whole story. That she followed him and was spying on him. So she told him what she did. And you'd think he'd get really mad, right? I mean, how can someone not trust Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? I mean, she's following him in the middle of the night to see where he's going. But he didn't. He looked at her and he said, so you were that figure I saw running in front of me as I was coming back home. He actually saw her. He didn't really make it out who it was. But he said, oh, so that was you. You were the one running in front of me. And then he said, do you think I would do something behind your back? And she, of course, said, no, I know. And he told her the story. He said, shortly after we went to bed, Jibreel alayhi salam, he called for me. Jibreel alayhi salam did not come into the house when they were asleep because they're exposed. So he called me and he asked me to go to Al-Baqiyah, to go to the cemetery. And he asked me to make a dua for the dead believers. So I did. And he told me what to say, so I did, and I followed his instructions. And I came back. That's it. No argument, no fighting, no suspicion, none of that. None of that. Rasulullah ﷺ understands human psychology. He knows, curious, and she has every right to be curious. And it's a little strange. Your husband gets up in the middle of the night and puts his clothes on and leaves. It's a little bit strange. After he was about to go to sleep, so this is human nature. He didn't get upset. Not at all. SubhanAllah. We tell these stories and review them not just to be storytellers, but to learn from them, to understand the nature of that relationship, and to strive to achieve it. Yes, it's difficult. It's not easy. But we have to make an effort. In everything we do, we have to make an effort to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تبارك ربنا وتعاليت لك الحمد على ما قضيت ولك الشكر على ما أنعمت به وأوليت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. اللهم اهدنا لصالح الأعمال لا يهدي لصالحها إلا أنت. اللهم اهدنا لأحسن الأخلاق لا يهدي لأحسنها إلا أنت. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها مردنا. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وبفضلك عمن سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك أعلي كلمتي الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين بفضلك ورحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. إنك يا ربنا على ما تشاء قدير وبالإجابة جدير. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.